Welcome down there, Rich Realtor.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have
Take
you guys.
it away.
Fairway Funding.
Is that it?
Boy, Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is my wife, Lori Devine of Fairway Funding Group. Thank you for having us this morning. For all you over there, nice to meet you all. First, obviously, thank you for this. And I know you guys are busy schedule and probably get solicited a lot, so I wanted to thank you for giving me the time. I'm going to start with a real quick, boring story. Fairway Funding Group just entered its 23rd year of business. We are a residential mortgage lender, not a broker. Obviously, if we need to differentiate what that means, I can be more than happy to go into that. We started on the east coast of Broward County in Coral Springs, Florida, back in 2009, began the slow process of moving over to here. Between 11 and 13, we made the final permanent move to the corporate offices over in Lakewood Ranch, right across from Main Street and Nature's Way. Probably going to stay there until everybody decides to retire, and that's just where we're going to be. We own the building over there. Everything is done in-house in that building. We don't send it off to Tampa, Pennsylvania, New York. Everything from processing, underwriting, closing, funding, everything happens within our Lakewood Ranch office. There is no red tape. There is no guy behind the wall. It is all us, all the employees. I thankfully am the operations manager and loan officer with Fairway Funding Group, which means besides our owner, Mark, who's kind of quasi 1 foot in retirement, the buck stops here. And I don't mean that to toot my own horn. What that means is, from your perspective, is I don't know how much new construction you do or how many last minute things happen at the very end. You got something that happens the morning of closing. Well, you start dealing with the cross countries, guaranteed rates, Rocket Mortgage, Quicken, anything like that. You're not getting something done that happened in the morning and you still want to close that afternoon. With Fairway Funding, the reality of it is, and this is not exaggerating in any short shape or form, we got a builder. CO came in at 10 a.m. We'd like to close at 2 p.m. All it takes is me, Jeff, walking 2 doors down to the closing department and saying, close the loan. That's it. There's nothing more than that. My closers get it done. We have the packages already prepped, ready to go. Quick and easy. I'd be more than happy to go into more in the process of that, but that'll be boring material. What I did want to go over, which Ken asked me to kind of touch on a little bit, and obviously I'll open the floor for questions beyond the subject matter I'm going to cover here. In those folders I gave for you guys for handouts, just so you can quick reference them. How do we get people into homes today? Obviously, the hot button topic of right now is down payment assistance loans. Okay. I'm going to give you personal opinion only first. Personal opinion, with the exception of the Hometown Heroes, which we all know now is done and gone and no longer funded. Okay. That was a great program. Why was that a great program? When they opened it up to almost everybody, for the most part, it was interest-free money at interest rates below market. That is a good down payment assistance loan. Almost every other down payment assistance loan out there beyond that one has some kind of caveat, whether you're paying interest on it, whether it's not forgivable for 10 years, whether it comes with a higher rate and fees, which almost all of them do, or you're going to be paying a higher market rate than you would be if you had some kind of savings set up. I personally, and again, I know there's different opinions in the industry, and not a huge fan of down payment assistance programs. Why? Someone that has not saved money is now going to get into a house and pay a higher fee and higher rate for a home they couldn't even save for. Again, personal opinion. I understand that may be in the minority, but that's just the Fairway how we deal with it. If they open up Hometown Heroes again, we will kick down the door and we'll be doing them all day long again. Okay. So what other options do we have for people? I'm sure a lot of you already know VA. If someone's a veteran, they have their entitlement, no down payment. The other one, pop quiz. Anybody know what the max loan size is for a veteran that has their full entitlement? That is correct, sir. There is no max loan size. Yes, sir. Theoretically, if someone wants to buy, a veteran wants to buy a $3 million house and they have their full entitlement, and as long as they qualify for a $3 million loan, they can get 100% financing on a $3 million house. Wow. So, it doesn't happen often, but there's many people that have come out of the military, gone on to be doctors, lawyers, and they can afford that kind of thing. Next one, which were the ones Kent asked me to touch on. You'll see in your folder there, USDA. Two biggest things with USDA. One being geographically restrictive. I did print out kind of like a Sarasota, Manatee type map on there. Hard to kind of see, but you'll see the shaded area to the west of 75 is the areas that are not anything, either just close to the highway and east of are, okay? Which leaves a lot of open area. Of course, you have Lakewood Ranch, Mayaca, stuff like that. That comes into caveat number 2. It's income restricted. Okay, on there, you'll see I highlighted the areas that we generally are probably doing business in. It's 110 and change per household. Big difference from the next program I'm going to go into. USDA is in household income, which means if I'm on the loan, obviously my income counts, but Lori's not. If I want to get a USDA loan, even if she's not on my loan, her income counts in the max income eligibility. So if both of us combined make over $110,000, we cannot get a USDA loan. Okay, so keep that in mind. They are the right word I would say, I wanted to say restrictive, but it's not it. USDA is not a favor of properties in a flood zone. They will do it. You will get pushback. Okay. They're trying to revamp the maps. It's been going through all this litigation, in politics, which we all love. But as of right now, obviously, we still know there are plenty of homes that are in a flood zone, especially if you want someone USDA out in Mayaca by the river and stuff, you're in a flood zone. So you're going to be dealing with the geographic, the income, and flood zone possibility restrictions. Okay. Any questions on USDA real quick? And again, I know I'm going through fast because I wanted to hit a lot of material and then open the floor. So
Yeah, no, the reason I was asking you to highlight and jump on that though is right now, as odd as it may seem, with rates up, we have the first time home buyers back in the market pool stronger than we did when the market was rising.
Gotcha.
Because they can actually make a bet on a house.
Yeah, they can actually talk and think. They're not.
Truth.
First time home buyers can never make a decision. So, yeah.
So they have an opportunity now. So that's why I asked.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. I assume everybody at this point obviously then knows FHA is 3.5% down. Got that. Okay. Wanted to expand a little bit more on the conventional loans when it comes to minimum down payments. Okay. 3% minimum down payment. First time home buyer? Yes. Non-first time home buyer? Yes. Okay. There's the specialty programs of Home Possible and Home Ready will allow a non-first time home buyer to still get a loan at 97% or 3% down. Okay. Caveat to that. There's always a caveat to everything. Okay. Those as well are income restricted. It's like 78,000 and change. However, unlike USDA, it's only for the income that is being used to qualify the loan. Okay. So not only is that different from USDA that it's not using household income, like my spouse that's not on the loan. Think about someone that's salaried and commissioned or bonus or overtime or whatever. Okay. If I only need that person's salary to qualify, that's all I need to do. And as long as that number is below the $78,000 figure and change, non-first time home buyer can get 97% financing on a new home. Okay. Pop quiz. What makes someone a non-first time home buyer?
Within 2 years of home ownership.
Close. 3 years. Now, to clear up a little misnomer out there, it is ownership. It's not about having a loan or not having a loan. If you own a home, I don't care if you paid it off 20 years ago, you still own that home today. You are not a first-time home buyer. Okay. Now, if you sold the home, obviously 3+ years ago, now you've become a first-time home buyer again. But it is from deed date of your sale of your last house to the closing of the new house. That is your three-year window. Okay. The regular traditional 3% down is for only first-time home buyers, which does not have any income restrictions on it. So it doesn't matter what you make. It doesn't matter where the property is. It doesn't even matter what kind of property it is. If you are a first-time home buyer, you can do 3% down as your minimum. All right. Good. Got that one? Excellent. All right. So questions on loan programs before I change gears. Products.
Rolling with that one, we can get in today's market still. Not only can we get a first-time home buyer into a property, but then we can get them to the seller to also pay.
Absolutely.
Up to what percent in that loan?
All right. Ready? I want to write this down because it's different for every loan and it changes from conventional loan to value. Okay. Let's go with the easy one first. FHA 6% across the board. USDA is 6% across the board. VA is 4% across the board. Here's where the 3 different tiers come into play. On a conventional loan, Anything less than 10% down is 3%. Anything between 75 and 90% is 6%. Anything over 25% down is 9%. Okay.
That part I did not know. You need to do.
Oh, I lost track of it.
You
so
need to
fast.
No problem.
I'm going back
Hey,
through this
Give
recording.
give him the pen.
Oh, you want me to write? This is where you should come into play. All right. All right. Conventional,
Your handwriting's gotta be.
90% or greater. Is that greater?
Yep.
All right, greater is 3%. 75 to 90 is 6%. 75, that would be less than, right? That go that way is 9%. Okay. Ma'am?
And that's
Remember-
actually- That's dependent upon the buyer and what they're putting down.
Correct. That is the loan to value of the loan. So if they put 10% down, that's, yeah, it's all about their down payment.
That's
Correct.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
After FHA.
Thank you. I was like.
Yeah, it's 6%.
Keep up.
Um,
Waiting for somebody like, yeah.
Now keep in mind, that credit can only go towards closing costs, cannot go towards down payment. Okay, so let's say you negotiate, you got a decent size VA, or excuse me, FHA loan. Let's just say, it's a $500,000 FHA loan. You just negotiated 6%. Well, in normal life, there's not gonna be $30,000 in closing costs on an FHA loan
Right.
for $500,000, okay? So what do? We as the lender, we add discount points to buy their rate down that the seller's paying for with their 30 grand. So now you got your buyers not only not paying closing costs, they're going to pay a below market rate that the seller's paying for them, and that's a permanent buy down. It's not a step one that increases over a couple of years.
Right, like the builder's office.
That's correct. Those are, and I will tell you, I'll be the first one to admit to you right now. You got a client that's going to one of these builders that's offering them $35,000 to use their in-house. As long as they can get a loan through them, don't even call me because I can't compete. Just can't. You know, they've got it built into the price of the house, and it just is what it is. You know, we were kind of kicking tires a couple months ago, and we were at a couple builders, and they were offering. He's like, I wouldn't even do my own loan because they're offering such good incentives. You know, I'd have to go to their lender just because. You know, so that was good. That was good topic. Let's see, anything else on? Yeah, I was gonna see about going to anything else. Obviously, caveat to when I said if conventional, if they are not a first-time home buyer, but they're not going to fit into the program that's income restrictive, 5%. You have to put 5% down. If you're a non-first-time home buyer and you're going to be over the income threshold of that 78 and change, 5% is your minimum down payment.
Go to MI versus no MI.
It's just surprisingly that we're actually not even getting into a lot of MI loans right now, but I don't know why that is. Okay, a couple different options when it comes to mortgage insurance. Okay. As we all, I'm sure, know, anytime you put less than 20% down, mortgage insurance comes into play. Most of the time, that is in the month what we call monthly mortgage insurance. It's included in your monthly payment. It's another $50, $100, $150, whatever it is, in your monthly payment. That stays on the loan until you reach a 22% loan to value on the house. Okay. Each mortgage insurance company has their own process for getting the mortgage insurance dropped off, whether they require you to get an appraisal or they're following the amortization schedule, or there's different ways that they do that. Okay. One of the ones that really comes into play when someone is kind of like stuck in between, they're putting like 10% down or 15% down, but they really want to keep their mortgage payment down as much as possible with that. It's called single premium MI is what we call it, or you can call it lump sum. It's kind of like the front end MI on FHA loans or a VA funding fee. It's a lump sum that gets financed into the loan. Okay, so for easy math, you're doing a $200,000 loan, they're only putting 15% down. Based on their credit score and stuff, there'll be a factor of, okay, your lump sum mortgage insurance is $2,000. So instead of borrowing $200, you're going to borrow $202 to pay for that $2,000. That way it's not in their monthly mortgage payment. Now, that money's now gone, though. That $2,000 is now forever. If you're in a loan for 6 months, you kind of paid that $2,000. Whereas in monthly, you're only paying as you go. If you sell in a year, you've only paid 12 months of mortgage insurance. You pick your poison, whatever the borrowers or buyers, hot button edge. Everybody's different. Sometimes it's payment, sometimes it's down payment, sometimes it's, I'm only gonna be in the house for 2 years. This is my forever home and we're never leaving, which is always never true. But average time someone stays in a mortgage loan, not a mortgage, not a house. What's the average person stay in a mortgage loan for? How long? Any guesses? 3.4 years. The average person stays in a mortgage loan 3.4 years. Now that's a combination of refinancing, divorces, selling, it's a combination of everything, but most people are not in this long term. So when a client is torn between a decision on which loan, they qualify for both. Here's your two different options, and they're really torn. That's the conversation I have with them. Okay, think about this. Is this your forever home? Or do rates are high right now. Everybody thinks we're going to have another refi boom in another year or two. What's the better decision today? We can worry about tomorrow because we know you're not going to be in this loan 10 years from now. So product questions. Two, hit me.
First one, are you guys offering 1.0 and 2.1 buy downs?
We do offer them, yes.
Are they hot
Yeah.
right now with you all, or?
There's a lot of tire kicking because what happens is the seller has to pay it. So, it's not, the buyer can't pay for it. So to convince, you got a client that wants it and a seller that's willing to pay for it don't seem to be matching up very often.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
There has to be.
Correct.
The other question, because since you guys are lenders, the state bond programs, the 10,000 and the 7,500, that the brokers don't have access to, that you guys have access to that?
We used to because it only goes through US Bank. US Bank is the catalyst of that. The problem is a couple of years ago, they required you to maintain a minimum you did every year. And we're in this area. It's just not a big bond area. It's just reality. Okay. And to keep up with that, just to do it and have it, a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago, we let it go just because we just didn't have that hanging over us. So, but yeah, some of the bigger people will do it because they're obviously we're more and more geographically concentrated because obviously we're still a mom and pop shop for all intents and purposes, even though we're licensed in Florida, Tennessee, and New Jersey. And I should have said that at the beginning. So Florida, Tennessee, and New Jersey, even though New Jersey is probably going to go away because we just don't do any business there. But the bigger people are more around the state where we're more geographically concentrated and have less opportunity to do the bond program. So
You guys do reverse mortgages?
we do.
Okay, so let me get your card.
Okay.
I have a woman right
I
now.
have a whole stack that I was going to leave.
A bunch of
You
credit
have
union
one in your
business.
It's in the folder.
Yeah.
I will give you a lead, just give it to you.
Wonderful.
For reverse
That-
mortgage in New
Can't
Jersey.
complain about that. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Oh, I got a clip on there. I'm
worked with
sorry.
This woman for a bunch of years, so, and she just called me the other day. I used to be in New Jersey and do some stuff, but I don't do anything out there now.
Gotcha.
So it's yours.
Wonderful. All right, I'm done.
Maybe you won't feel good, Jersey.
Right, right.
Thanks for that one.
So with that, I wanted to kind of quickly go over, because obviously you guys want to have pre-approved buyers. You don't want to be wasting your time with people. Run real quick on how we do it. Okay. I've been in the business long enough, and I did forget to mention, I'm coming up on my 20th year at Fairway. So I've been doing this a long time. Okay. There used to be a term back in the day called pre-qualification. We don't do those. That is basically calling up, giving your name. Yeah, I got a heartbeat. Here's your letter. That's not the way we do things. And I won't allow myself to do it. I won't allow anybody that works for me to do it. Okay. We only issue pre-approvals. What does that mean? We are reviewing income. We're reviewing credit. I'll be honest, we typically don't review assets. If they know what they need to bring and they say they have it, we're not chasing down bank statements until somebody gets a contract. Okay. But credit and income are reviewed. On top of that, when they are out with you guys and you guys find their house, this is the one, Jeff. We ask them, send me the address. Kent or the borrower will ask, what do you think you're going to get the house for? Just give me the number. It's listed for 520. You're going to get it for 510, 470. Just give me a number. It doesn't have to be exact. We'll run exact numbers on that exact house, give the client the numbers, and give you the pre-approval letter on that house based on your offer. So if you're saying I want to go in at 510, I'm giving you an offer, a pre-approval letter at 510. Here's a true story of what happened to her and I. We sold our house 5 years ago. Obviously, I'm in the business. Get the offer. Attached to the back of that offer is the pre-approval letter from, I forget who it was. Okay. I'm going to use fake numbers. Let's say he offered $600,000 on my house. I get a pre-approval letter that he's pre-approved up to $900,000. Well, I'm not going to take 600. I'm listed for 650. You're giving me 650 because you can afford 900. Now, it's a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah.
Let's be real. That's all it is. It's smoke and mirrors. Hey, this person's offering 510. They're pre-approved for 510. The letter says they've already reviewed, because I got the address for their house on it, showing that we've reviewed the numbers on their actual house. It's not just blanket. Okay. And that's what we do. Yeah. Does it take a little more time and effort? And do you sometimes have to ask me for 4, 5, 6, 7 different pre-approval letters for different people in different houses? No problem. Takes seconds to do. Okay. Plus, we're not going into it blind. They know, you know, and the seller knows we've reviewed this house, this offer.
Well, it protects the borrower too, because a tax bill can be totally different on this house and on that house, and they may not qualify even though it's the same purchase.
And a lot of people don't understand that. They're like,
Or HOA,
Mhm.
because that's in there.
Mhm.
CDDs are.
Amen.
Yeah,
Yep.
Especially now, I mean, you go anywhere in Hillsborough County, CDDs are a nightmare.
Huge.
So it's, yeah, it's dumb. Or one half of the community is CDD and the other one isn't. So
Wow.
Oh, yeah, Hillsborough County's a fun one.
So that's why we do it that way. Is just it protects everybody, you know, and we're not putting our name on it if we can't close that loan, with the exception of something we can't control, i.e. an appraisal or home inspection. We're closing that loan if we've given you that letter. So, and that's just reality. We don't. Here's the line I tell people. I've been doing this for 20 plus years now. I don't need the practice. I'm only going to do loans that I'm going to make money on. I'm not going to just throw out letters out there to just spin my wheels and throw it up against the wall. That's just not how we work. We've all been doing this for so long that I'm not going to waste your time or my time. So,
How long are you seeing your appraisal? Like, obviously you can't have in-house appraisers, right? So that's the one that you have to wait, correct?
wrong.
Really?
Correct. It's called Air Cert. It's called Appraisal Independence Requirements. We've met that with all of our investors. Basically means we have our own panel of appraisers, excuse me. They're all local here. Now I do have a couple that I've partnered with that are bigger scale because, you know, once in a blue moon, we'll get that Jacksonville property. Well, I can't send the guy from Bradenton to Jacksonville, so I can rely on them.
Okay.
All it does is we have to funnel the ordering through a software that blind Robin assigns it.
Ah, okay.
But I know everybody on the list.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
something comes up.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
Because
So
that's an issue that I've had with a couple of different lenders where they're like, well, you know, we're just the appraisal company we're waiting for, or this company is the one that's always done low, and they literally say, we just really hope we don't get them, but they're in the round robin, and it's been a nightmare at times.
And
So-
where people that aren't from here.
Right.
Correct.
don't Realize that a saltwater canal is actually worth more than a freshwater.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, it's potable
Yeah.
water, yeah, but.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, and just like we can add people to the panel, we can remove people from the.
Yep.
panel. If we
It's-
have a appraiser,
Right.
we can just have, he's giving us issues just.
Just
because he can.
continually.
He
over
gone.
and over.
He's gone,
Yeah.
or she's gone, he or she gone.
Yeah.
You know, there's too many out there that, you know,
Right.
want to help our business. So,
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I didn't realize that.
Yes,
That's-
sir.
I've heard it from a couple different lenders, like, oh yeah, we can't choose. And I'm like, well, okay, yeah, I get that, but
wink, wink.
yeah. And it's like, you're
Mm.
not choosing.
Back on the pre-approval real quick, credit reports. We get all the time from people. If you pull my credit, I already talked to so-and-so and so-and-so, and if you pull my credit, is it going to hurt me? Theoretically, if you get a lot of credit repulls in a short period of time, it could affect your score. How do we circumvent that when someone's still shopping, or maybe not even shopping for another few months, but they want to know what they can afford today? We pull soft pulls. Doesn't cost them anything. It doesn't affect them in any way. And it gives me absolutely everything I need. Scores, debts, history, everything. The only thing I can't do with that soft credit pull is I can't run DU or LP with it. Okay. So if it's someone that's marginal, a lot of times if you have someone that's, you know, they're 600 score, debt ratio is 54%, it's FHA. Look, you want to be sure that you're going to go in that car and go shopping for a house. Let me pull a hard pull. Let me run DU, make sure we're good to go. Make sure that your credit history is not going to cause a problem. But far and few between, we have to do that. Most of them are always soft pulls. We've also figured out the system. I don't know if you've heard your clients getting freaking bombarded. Trigger leads. When we pull our soft pulls, we do not put their phone number or email addresses in. So that way, when they get the trigger leads, they have no contact information. I personally make sure I do it on every time. Some of my loan officers, they're just old school and they follow their blanks. You know, exactly. So,
The buyer.
Exactly. Well, I have a buddy of mine. A buddy of mine was buying a house and he literally sent me the screenshots of all his phone calls. He literally had 50 phone calls in 2 hours from a triggered lead from pulling his credit. Now, CFPB is trying to do something about that, but you know, it's all going to be about who's got the biggest lobby, to be honest with you, whether they do something about it or not.
Too much money.
Correct.
It's a shame.
And you know, so unfortunately, the buyers think it's us, but it's not. It's the credit companies selling their information to the highest bidders, you know, putting them on lists, you know. But I guess that's how we all kind of sometimes get leads. I mean, Zillow does it, you know, yeah. Yep.
You're buying leads. right
Exactly
now.
right. Truth.
So I have the link, I mean, I can share it,
The
where they
opt
can
out
sign
one.
in, but it takes 10 days.
It's exactly
That's
right.
the problem, so we know you got someone that we're working with and we're gonna send them.
Put 'em
off
on there.
to A lender, we absolutely tell them, just go in there and sign that before we get the.
100% right. And we run into the same problem you probably do is they want to know now. They don't want to wait 10 days. You know, I want to know now. It's like, well, here's what I can try to do, but they may still find you, prepare your phone to ring, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but all right. I think I've covered my
Big credit scenario.
true. That's good. Thank you. Appreciate that. We pull someone's credit, not where they thought it was, or they knew where it was and they knew they needed help. We have two different options we can do. We have, it's called Wayfinder and What If, doesn't matter what the name of it is I can plug in, hey, I want to get this person's score from 520 to 600. They have $5,000 available. What can we do? It's kind of limited because it doesn't take hypotheticals into play. It basically just plugs and plays. Now, it does work though. Don't get me wrong. It'll say, pay this card off, pay this card down, pay off this collection, et cetera. It'll get, you know, within a month, you'll get to this score. The other one, which I prefer to use, is it allows me to tweak it. Like, okay, let's remove them from an authorized user on this account. You know, tell your wife, take you off the authorized user. Or how about nowadays, especially nowadays, collections, I can coach people on, you call them, you may have to pay it in full. If you can negotiate the balance, great. But if you can get them to delete it, I literally repeat myself over and over again because people will get on the phone with the creditor and they'll be like, okay, we'll mark it as paid in full. No, it's delete, delete, delete. We're probably 60-40 in the amount of companies that will do it. They'll delete it. Well, what does that mean? Well, once they pay it and delete it, that means it never existed. So it completely disappears from their credit profile. Not like where you paid something late and you just got to wait a couple of years to get away from that affecting you. This totally goes away overnight. So you could jump. I mean, I've seen credit reports jump 100 points because they had a collection last week, called them and said, I'm so sorry, I completely forgot to pay it. You know, what can I do? You know, and they pay it, they delete it, and boom, right back up.
$38 West Diagnostics bill that just slipped through the cracks. One of our daughters was in a car accident. It's at 70 points because they deleted it to my score of 70 points.
Yep. And they'll do it because at the end of the day, they only want your money.
Right.
That's really what it is.
That's it.
You know, and that's why I give people the heads up. You may have to pay it in full. They may be only willing to negotiate if they're going to just, you know, because a lot of those ones you can negotiate for pennies on the dollar, especially older ones if they've changed hands with collection companies a lot. But trust me, if you pay $100 instead of $50, pay the $100 if they're going to delete it. I mean, because it's gone forever then. So
Now, how can you guarantee that they'll delete it, or is it just their word?
you have to rely on the client when they make the call to speak to the creditor that I've coached them enough on what they say they need that they do it. And I don't know if I've ever had them come back and say, they said they're going to delete it, so I paid it, and it not happen. Yeah.
I wondered. Okay, I
What's
wondered
the
about
letter
that.
from
Yeah,
the credit, you know?
yeah.
Send me a letter saying that you are deleting this because I paid it, and they almost always do send a letter. Some will email it, some will fax it.
Yeah.
And we can use that letter to get it updated ourselves on credit.
Right,
So
right.
instead of waiting for the normal billing cycle,
Yeah.
we can get it done in like 3 days.
Yeah, because I've had that issue where it was as simple as someone bought furniture the day before closing.
Ah,
And
yay!
it bumped not even their credit, it bumped their debt to income from 48 to 49 or whatever it was. And so they're like, well, I just wanted the points. And then they paid it off, but then we had to wait 14 days
Oh.
for it to close. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Because they bought furniture. The sellers laughed, but I was like, I'm just thankful I had good sellers. And
Right.
they-
It's not always like gonna be like that. No.
And that was, yeah, it was one of those fun ones. But I've wondered how quick, like those things, especially with credit aspect fix, you know, I've had that.
amazing how much
Get
they
it done
push
without
when they
force.
still do it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Do not buy a
Right.
car.
You look at
Do
that,
not.
and they're like,
Right.
absolutely.
The other thing, I don't know if you guys come into play. We seem to have a disproportionate amount of people that for some reason decide to buy a house and the closing ends up happening to be the same week they're going on a cruise.
Right?
Like how does that always happen? Like, it's like, these are pretty big life decisions, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
like it totally.
Hey, I'm going out of the country. We can close 2 weeks early?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
But you were complaining about not having enough money. I'm not even gonna.
True.
Yep,
Yeah.
I asked you the closing date. Confirm the closing date.
True story. True story. All right. Any other questions? Just kind of quickly, because you asked me about reverses. We do, obviously, every loan we've already talked about. We do construction of perm loans, obviously reverses, jumbos, bank statement loans, no ratio loans, any type of property for the most part. Obviously, you start getting into beyond 4-unit properties, it starts becoming commercial. But condos, townhouses, obviously anything of that matters. We can do all of it. For investor loans, we do DSCR loans. If you don't know what that means, DSCR loans means the only income we're using is the projected rent from that property. And as long as it's at least 1%, like it evens it out, like
You at 80% or 85 in your DSCR?
loan to value, you mean? 85 if they have a 740
85?
score. Yeah,
That's
it
really
might be
good.
760, 740 or 760. I forget what it is. Obviously, you got to have top
We're
near.
really popular, right? Here I'm on the street all the time now.
Gotcha.
It's like the new thing.
It is because what it is someone, especially an investor that owns multiple properties, you don't have to get into all that. A lot of these people that own a lot of properties or happen to be also self-employed too. Well, they don't show the income that they actually make. So all we have to do now, the SCR, is we just use what the appraiser says the rent's going to be. As long as that covers the PITI of the property they're buying, done.
Well, another good option for that too is if you own a property free and clear that you have been renting out or whatever, and you just want to take the money out on it. It's an easy.
You can do it. You can do it. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a purchase. So especially if they want to use that money to go buy another house.
So are you still looking at how much more of the rates are on investment loans right now?
Ooh.
2 to 3%?
Well, second homes too, especially if they are not putting less than 25% down. You're almost going to not see any loans that don't have discount points, because even from our perspective, the rate sheets, they just stop. The reality of it is we're for profit business.
Right.
So we still got to make money.
Right.
And you won't probably see right now second homes and investor loans without discount points of some sort.
And now
So
the DSCR is 25% down, or
it all depends on your credit. Like he asked me,
I heard that.
correct.
Yeah.
It depends on your credit score. We can go all the way down to 620 on that.
Okay.
But I think that's at 70%.
Okay.
You have to at least put 30% down at that point in time.
But let's be honest, all rates suck right now.
Yeah.
No matter where you are.
They do.
Yeah.
They all.
I had someone.
It's all relative,
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
So Ruskin, and I have a guy that just bought a house, the Sextons that are dealing with Lennar right now. And he's like, yeah, that's a great price. It's at 267, like all this stuff, right? And he's like, maybe I'll buy that as next week. I was like, do you have 25 to 30% down? He's like, what? He doesn't know. He thinks it's a 5% or a 3%, like normal. Like, no. And interest rate's probably gonna be sitting at a 9 or a 10.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Spot on. Yeah.
Never mind. I just, it's just, and it's
I should say that about builders. We are on Medallion's preferred lender list. We are Homes by Town only preferred lender. We are the only allowed to turn down lender for Taylor Morrison for the client to still get the incentive. So if Taylor Morrison turns them down, they come to us and we can do the loan. They can still get the incentive. We do have specific loan officers that are assigned to those accounts. I personally don't. So I'm speaking more from my operations manager hat than sales guy hat. But so, I mean, obviously we must do something right if we get to be on those lists. So we're trying a couple others just because y'all know how much new construction is going on, and it's insane. And from our perspective, we know we can't compete. Like I said earlier, I mean, it's just reality,
Yeah. And they're easy sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, as long as the walls don't leak.
Or.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
Beam is done properly, you know.
Or-
I literally had what's a main beam in a house called? I'll send you the story. Gosh, what is it called?
The main beam.
Well, but there's a word that they use for it. It's like down the center of the roof.
Not trust.
Oh, it's the roof.
Yeah, so that entire beam was warping. I
Oofa.
was the one that found it on the final walkthrough, and I may have gotten a GC fire.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, and they are still having issues with the house, to the point where they're probably taking them. Lennar's like, nah, it doesn't need anything. And like, they won't repair anything right now. And so they're this close to
You
bringing
think
Lennar to court.
Yeah.
And they're like, I mean, when they were building it, there was water sitting in places, and the GC was like, oh yeah, well, that's normal during the hurricanes, which is it. Like, I've been around enough, water sits,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
like, that spot was molding, there was all this stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, we fixed it. And like, oh yeah, it's a crap show. So that was one, they went through Lennar's lending, they went through all their stuff, and it was like, guys, you need to get some outside, because then we can get some outside inspectors, and that was those are
Ouch.
fun.
Ouch.
Fun ones.
Anything I did.
Know that.
Yeah, it's just 2x4s everywhere. Great job, guys. This looks great.
Anything I did not hit on, anything that's got questions about, anything need further explanation on? Obviously, I know you guys are busy, so I didn't want to bombard you too much, but awesome. If you have anything, please call me, email me. We work, we don't work just bankers hours, nights, weekends, all. I have a we actually have a team. There's two other people on the Divine Mortgage team that, we're on vacation that have coverage. So, we're never out of the loop. So
So you guys do work like funding can go through weekends, or no?
No, funding does not.
I figured.
Yeah.
When you said that.
Yeah.
I said, you guys
no,
do
because they're
funding.
still banking related.
Good.
Yeah, correct.
Sorry,
Sure.
like you had all.
I'll get rid of one lender. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it very much. Got any?
Loan officers that are looking, unhappy where they are,
Yeah.
You'll sit down with them, and if anybody can learn from Jeff, they'll be the best in the business.
Yeah.
So if you got somebody green that needs to learn the right way the first time.
Everybody sells differently, but if you want to learn the business, I'm your guy. So